Y'all know the truth. Y'all know the truth. Shedeur is the most talented quarterback in that room. You may not believe in the NFL, but one thing is clear for sure. In that Cleveland Browns locker room, Shedeur Sanders is the only serviceable professional quarterback or actual NFL quarterback in that room. Let's just be honest, guys. No more hatred, no more of the extra. Listen to me. Not only is he the most talented quarterback in that room, but the Browns are keeping him buried. This ain't development. That's sabotage.
Ladies and gentlemen, buckle up. What I'm about to say is not sugar-coated. It is not polished. It is raw, unfiltered truth. And if you're a Cleveland Browns fan, it may sting more than a Detroit Lions beatdown on a Sunday afternoon. Because we need to talk about what is really happening with Shedeur Sanders. We need to talk about how the most talented quarterback in the Browns locker room is being buried alive. And let's call it what it is. This is not development. This is sabotage.
Yeah, I think you got to take this thing like in pieces, like you do a football game. You get a series, you get a quarter, you get a half, you get a game. And you got to win the series. You got to win the quarter, you got to win the half, and you got to do it again.
Let's rewind to the ugly scene. Cleveland Browns versus the Detroit Lions. The scoreboard tells you one story, but the reality tells you another. Once again, the Browns looked stale, predictable, lifeless. Joe Flacco was out there playing like it was 1995. Bubblegum play calling. Safe checkdowns. No spark. No creativity. And fans are supposed to accept this? Fans are supposed to believe that this is the best option the Browns have? Nonsense.
Then play him. Why waste a pick just to keep him on the bench, bro? Like, this is how lowly and awful the Cleveland Browns has been. Now I look like an attorney for Dylan Gabriel and an advocate for him. But we're at this point, ladies and gentlemen. We're at this point. And Shedeur Sanders, don't even get me started. You guys know how I feel about that.
Because sitting right there on the roster is Shedeur Sanders. The same Shedeur who tore up college defenses. The same Shedeur who showed poise, accuracy, and leadership beyond his years. The same Shedeur who is the only real NFL-level quarterback in that locker room. Yet instead of giving him the reins, instead of letting him grow with the starters, the Browns have chosen to bury him. Keep him on the sidelines. Keep him invisible. And you expect me to believe that's development? No, it's sabotage. And the fans know it too. Every quarterback in NFL history who has blossomed into greatness has one thing in common. They got reps, real reps, not scout team drills, not garbage time snaps, reps with starters, reps under pressure, reps against the best defenses in the league. That is how you grow. That is how you learn. That is how you develop. But what are the Browns doing with Shedeur? They are treating him like a clipboard holder, like a ball boy, like a practice arm throwing passes to equipment managers. That is not football. That is a slap in the face.
Shedeur's mentality, folks, is he truly believes he can be a franchise quarterback. That's what he wants to be. That's what the experts said he would be leading up to the draft. If you watch one of his press conferences, he literally said, if you're not trying to change the franchise, then don't come get me. Cleveland should be excited to have a guy like that wants to do that for your franchise. I hope the Browns give him a chance later in the year because he's confident. He showed flashes in preseason and, of course, during his tenure at Colorado.
And here's the part that should make every fan furious. This is not by accident. This is not just bad coaching. This is a deliberate strategy. Because if Shedeur Sanders takes the field and outshines Joe Flacco, if he energizes the team and the fan base, then the Browns front office would be exposed. Exposed for wasting money on veterans past their prime. Exposed for sticking with Kevin Stefanski's outdated, lifeless playbook. Exposed for refusing to adapt. And they can't have that. So what do? They bury Shedeur. They call it patience. They call it development. But the truth is uglier. Is sabotage. Look closely at Kevin Stefanski, a coach who should have been gone years ago. No fire. No imagination. No vision for the future. His game plans look like they were ripped out of an old playbook from the mid-90s. Defenses laugh at it. Fans groan at it. Yet somehow, ownership keeps him in charge. Why? Because Stefanski does not challenge the system. He plays his role. He keeps the machine running. He keeps the veterans in place. And Shedeur Sanders, the young lion, threatens all of that. That is why he never gets a shot. Now let's talk about ownership. Jimmy Haslam, the man who allegedly robbed Ohio taxpayers blind, over $600 million, while fans still fill his stadium. This is not a man who cares about building a winning culture in Cleveland. This is a man who cares about building his bank account. While fans scream and cry for a future quarterback, Haslam is buying mansions in Florida, far away from the people he claims to represent. And if you think he is invested in Shedeur Sanders' growth, think again. Haslam does not want a young star who might challenge his narrative. He wants safe. He wants control. He wants silence. And Shedeur Sanders represents none of that. Think about the insult here. Dylan Gabriel, a third-round draft pick, is sitting as well. Why waste the pick if you are not going to play him? Why burn draft capital just to collect dust on the bench? It makes no sense. Unless, of course, the plan was never about football. The plan was about appearances. Draft a quarterback to quiet the noise. Draft Shedeur Sanders to sell jerseys, to build hype. But never actually empower him. Never actually give him the chance to compete. Because if he competes, he will win. And if he wins, the old system crumbles.
Cleveland Browns star QB Shedeur Sanders says scout team reps are his game day and he loves playing with them. As he quotes, "I have 6 games in a week. I'm happy rather than having 1 game only on the weekends." What do you guys think about Shedeur's sayings?
Every week, so I have 6 games a week, so I'm happy rather than just having 1 game a week, on the weekend. So the scout team receivers, all of us, we all know like every day's game day, and we definitely approach everything.
Shedeur is more than just a quarterback. He represents something bigger. He represents the future. He represents a new wave of NFL leadership. A quarterback who is young, dynamic, confident, and unapologetic. He represents change, and change terrifies organizations like the Browns. Because change means accountability. Change means shaking up the power structure. Change means exposing the frauds who have been coasting on mediocrity for decades. That is why the Browns keep him sidelined. Not because he isn't ready, not because he isn't talented, but because they are afraid of what he might reveal. And let's be clear, the media plays a role in this too. Journalists and pundits who mock the idea of Shedeur as an NFL starter are suddenly changing their tune. Now, they're using the same word that real fans have been screaming for years. Sabotage. They see it now. They cannot ignore it anymore. But when independent voices said it first, they were laughed at. They were dismissed. Now the truth is unavoidable. Shedeur Sanders is being sabotaged in Cleveland. And the only question is how long he will tolerate it. Shedeur needs to speak up. The time for silence is over. No more cryptic posts. No more vague comments about quarterback struggles in the league. He needs to say it loud. Say it clear. Call out the names. Because every day he stays quiet, every game he sits on the bench, his career clock ticks away. This league waits for no one. And the NFL will not pause just because the Browns refuse to play him. If he does not demand his shot, if he does not demand his trade, then he risks being remembered as wasted potential. And wasted potential is the cruelest fate in professional sports. Think about history. How many young quarterbacks were destroyed by bad franchises? How many careers never even started because ownership chose politics over performance? You do not have to look far. Dozens of names litter the NFL graveyard. Talents who could have been great but never got the reps. And if Shedeur Sanders is not careful, his name will be added to that list. That is not development. That is sabotage. So where does this leave the fans? Browns fans need to wake up. Stop defending garbage. Stop buying tickets for a hustle. This is not a football team. This is a scam. Jimmy Haslam and Kevin Stefanski are not building a contender. They are protecting their own power. And every time you cheer for them, every time you excuse them, you are helping them bury Shedeur Sanders. If you really want change, demand it. Demand Shedeur play. Demand accountability. Demand something better than decades of mediocrity. And where does this leave Shedeur? He has 2 choices. Stay quiet, stay humble, and watch his career vanish. Or take control of his destiny. Demand the ball. Demand a trade. Force the Browns' hand. Because greatness is never given. Greatness is taken. And Shedeur Sanders has the talent to be great. But talent wasted in silence is just as bad as no talent at all. The window is closing, and the world is watching. This is bigger than Cleveland. This is bigger than the Browns. This is about how the NFL treats young quarterbacks who do not fit the old guard. This is about how organizations sabotage talent to protect their fragile power structures. And this is about whether Shedeur Sanders will let them write his story or whether he will grab the pen and write his own. Ladies and gentlemen, the truth is brutal. The Browns are not developing Shedeur Sanders. They are sabotaging him. And unless he acts now, unless he stands up, he risks becoming another forgotten name in a long line of wasted careers. Shedeur, the time is now. Speak up. Take control. Because your career is too valuable, your talent is too undeniable, and your future is too important to let Cleveland bury it in the dirt. This is not development. This is sabotage, and the whole world can see it. All right, guys, that's the breakdown. If you agree that Cleveland is holding Shedeur back, smash that like button right now. Drop an SS 100% in the comments so we know who the real ones are. And subscribe because we've got more Browns updates, more Shedeur coverage, and more NFL drama coming your way all season long.